let's take a quick look at two major players in Malaysia utility sector, which is Tenaga Nasional Berhad and also YTL. Tenaga Nasional Berhad or TNB is a government-linked utility company that focuses on powering the nation. Its core activities include generating, transmitting, and distributing electricity across Malaysia. TNB plays a central role in ensuring reliable energy supply for homes, businesses, and also industries nationwide. On the other hand, YTL is a private multinational utility company with a broader infrastructure focus. Beyond electricity, YTL also operates in power generation, water services, telecommunications, and digital solutions. Unlike the NB national scope, YTL has expanded its market reach internationally, making it a global in utilities and also infrastructure. In summary, while TMB drives Malaysia electricity backbone, YTL diversifies across sectors and borders, each shaping the utility landscape in distinct way. Tenaga Nasional Berhad or TNB is basically Malaysia electricity backbone. It's government linked and its whole purpose is to make sure power gets generated, transmitted and delivered to home and businesses across the country. Its risks are mostly local, so it is steady and predictable. Now, the private multinational utility company plays a bigger game. It's not just about the electricity, it's also in water, telecom, and digital services. And because it generates internationally, it faces more challenges, but it has more opportunities to grow and innovate. Think of it as a global player with a wider reach. So, while TNB is the reliable national provider, the multinational is the diversified explorer, taking on bigger risks for bigger next, I'm going to talk about finance, risk, and sustainability using Tenaga Nasional Berhad and YTL as example. First, in terms of financial goals, Tenaga Nasional Berhad is a government-linked company. This means its main focus is not only profit, but also supporting to country electricity needs. YTL, however, it is a private multinational company, so it focuses more on business growth and expanding globally. Next is risk management. TNB mainly deals with risks related to maintaining a stable national electricity supply. If power is disrupted, it affects the whole country. YTL manage risk across different infrastructure and utility projects, often in different countries, which make their risk more diverse. For profit strategy, TNB earns money by generating, transmitting, and distributing electricity in Malaysia. YTL earns income from several areas, such as power, water, telecommunication, and also digital services. Lastly, for sustainability, TNB focuses on long-term energy supply for Malaysia, while YTL focuses on sustainability on an international level. In conclusion, both companies have different approaches based on their roles and business scope. Thank you.
Now we move to financial structure and performance analysis for TNB and YTL Powers from 2020 until 2024. For quick ratio and current ratio, both company was record the same, which is 1.05 times, and TNB liquidity was tight before 2023 and improved after it. And the YTL shows strong liquidity throughout 2020 until 2024. And lastly, YTL is stronger in short-term financial position. Now we move to profitability ratio, which is current ratio trends for TNB and YTL Powers from 2020 until 2024. Now we look. TNB was stable but lower profit margins, and they improved each profit in 2023 and 2024. And for YTL Powers, they have a high growth after 2021 and more volatile, which is YTL shows stronger profitability recovery. Now we move to returns of ratio, which is returns of asset and returns of equity. For TNB, there are low returns due to large asset base, and for the YTL powers, there are higher returns of asset and returns of equity after the recovery. From this, we can see YTL powers use asset and equity more efficiently compared to TNB.
Now I'm going to present about our leverage ratios. TNB has a high debt and relies heavily on borrowing, and YTL Power has low debt and strong equity base. In comparison, TNB has a higher risk, and meanwhile YTL they have a higher flexibility. Next, I'm going to explain our market ratios and investor view. As for TNB, they have stable EPS and a moderate PE ratio. And then as for YTL, they have EPS growth after 2021, it declining their PE. And as for comparison, TNB suits conservative investors, meanwhile YTL suits growth investors.
For this analysis, the primary financial tool applied is capital structure analysis, which examines how a company finances its operation through a combination of debt and equity. This tool is particularly important for utility companies as they are highly capital intensive and require substantial long-term funding for infrastructure development. By analyzing the proportion of debt and equity, capital structure analysis help assess a company's financial risk, stability, and management financing decision. In this case, it enables a clear comparison between Tenaga Nasional Berhad and YTL Power to evaluate how each company balances risk and financial flexibility in its financing. Based on the capital structure analysis, Tenaga Nasional Berhad TNB demonstrate a high level of leverage with debt comprising approximately 95% of its capital structure. Government backing and stable cash flows support this heavy reliance on debt, which help reduce financial risk despite the significant level of borrowing. In comparison, YTL Power operates with lower and steadily declining debt levels, supported by a stronger equity base. As a result, YTL Power enjoys greater financial flexibility and faces lower financial risk than TNB. Overall, this contrast highlights differing management approach, with TNB favoring debt financing to maintain stability, while YTL Power emphasizes flexibility and risk control through equity
For
financing.
the management decision, TNB used debt to fund infrastructure. And then, the TNB also used focus on national of development. For YTL, they use the equity and retain earnings. Lastly, the YTL company also focus on growth and flexibility. Overall evaluation and recommendation for Tenaga Nasional Berhad, they use debt to support national electricity infrastructure. Also, they focus on stability rather than high returns. Next, for the YTL company, they use conservative financing strategy. And lastly, they focus on growth, flexibility, and shareholder value.